Hi, cuties. Welcome back to the Royal Diaries, a podcast by me, Ginger Nichelle, your fashionista godmother, and Elle Royalty Clothing. I am here to talk to you about all things fashion, all things glam life of fashion, and just some candid, straight talk, just to give you some insights on what it's like being a designer living in LA, what it takes, the trials, tribulations, the ups, the downs, things to know if you want to be a brand and have your own clothing company. I just want to give you my experience being a designer, my experience working in the corporate design factor, and hopefully you find all this info helpful. But today's topic is, do I need to go to design school to be a designer? Is it worth it? Can I be self-taught? Can I just not go to school and do like a, 2 to 5 year program of school? Can I just jump on in? Well, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of both today, and hopefully it'll help you better make your decision and better help you understand what's the best course of action for you. So first I want to talk about what you learn in design school. Pretty much learn the basics of sewing, pattern making, draping, sketching, tech packs, costing, line sheets, portfolio building, all of those things is what you learn in fashion school, plus more. But those are pretty good breakdown of what you learn. You learn more how the corporate fashion industry works. You learn about how to present yourself in a professional way. You learn the terminology that's used in the fashion industry. If you aren't going for design and you're going more the merchandising route, you will learn more about selling and merchandising and understanding how that world works. But schooling, for the most part, is from a corporate point of view. They teach you how to do more flat sketching as opposed to doing croquis. You do learn croquis, but they teach you pretty much that in most industries that you're going to work in, everybody pretty much does flat sketching. But however, there is still a very big difference between going to more of an art school, like, Art Institute or Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, FIDM, in LA, versus going to a trade school. So where you learn really more about the trade and it's less about the art, but more about the trade and knowing how to get a job right after. So that's pretty much how fashion school works. Obviously any type of degree, advanced degree, is going to be costly. So you do have to think about the cost factor of going to school. There are cheaper and more inexpensive, I'll say. There's more inexpensive ways to do it. But school in general, as we all pretty much know, is not a cheap venture to do, especially doing an art school, because it's not just paying the tuition. It's also buying all the supplies. If you think about all the fabrics that you use, the tools that you use to make things, pencils, markers, colored pencils, any programs that you buy, like an Illustrator, Photoshop program to purchase, dot paper, manila paper, printing out reports, textbooks, all those things, you have to do in addition to just going there and paying your tuition. Just keep that in mind. But on the flip side, can you be self-taught and still be successful? I mean, yes. The simple answer is yes. I mean, school does give you the tools that you need to be great and understand and work in the industry, or, be a small business entrepreneur, things of that nature. However, you're going to have to put into practice everything that you learned from school. Otherwise, it literally will do nothing really for you. Even though, you may have one assignment where you're like, I'll say pattern making, for example, one assignment to do dart manipulation, where you move the dart somewhere else on the bodice. Okay, so if you did something easy or turn a waist dart into a French dart, Okay, but you should probably figure out also how to put that dart in the neck, put that dart in the armhole, put that dart at center front, so that if you want to design something like that, or if you want to tell somebody to make you a piece of clothing like that, you are going to understand how to put that, so how to do that properly. So you definitely want to practice what you learn. When you're self-taught, since you're teaching yourself everything, you're getting all the practice in, and you don't have somebody to sit there and help you through each step. You still need to put the research in for yourself. You still need to be diligent and create new ways for you to do things and challenge yourself, because that's the only way you'll really learn, is if you challenge yourself. When I was in school, how I challenged myself was I started making cosplays for myself, my friends, and then eventually for other people, because I started cosplaying and going to conventions and dressing up as my favorite anime or video game character. Those patterns weren't in the book that I could copy. So I did have to, figure out breaking down the shape and figure out how am I going to make this costume into a pattern first and then sew it and put it together. So that was really me challenging myself when I was in school. And that's how I got better at pattern making, because I was challenging myself. For you, however you challenge yourself, you just need to know that you're going to have to be diligent, because you aren't being graded by a teacher. You don't have deadlines set by a teacher. You're not getting a grade at the end of the semester. You don't have a probability of being kicked out of school if you don't maintain your grades or something, or be put on probation. Like, people do ask me if you need a degree to be a designer. Yeah, I'm going to say if you want to be an independent brand, no, you don't need to have a degree. No one is going to be like, hey, I need to see your piece of paper that says you are a designer. I need to see that paper. Otherwise, I will not consider looking at anything you have to show me, ma'am. No, that's not the case. You don't need the degree. You can be a designer and have no fashion degree. Maybe you went to school for something else, but you always loved fashion. So now you're doing design. Well, no one is really going to check for that. However, if you are trying to get a job as a designer in a corporate setting, or anything else, technical design, pattern making, etc., and you want to work at a company, typically, yes, they will be looking for a degree. In this day and age of 2021, everyone really is looking for a bachelor's degree. There are places that do consider an AA degree with experience, especially if you've been working maybe since the 90s or something like that. But if you have graduated, I would say probably within the last 5-6 years, they're going to pretty much assume that you have a bachelor's, or they're going to want to see that you have a bachelor's. Most jobs I see online say that. You do have to consider that. Now, most places don't ask for a master's degree. If you want to get a master's degree in fashion or a doctorate degree in fashion just because that's what you want, you can. It's totally possible to get a master's or a doctorate in fashion. I didn't realize I knew a master's you can get in fashion, but I actually didn't know you can get a doctorate until I was in school and I had professors that had doctorate degrees in fashion. So it is very possible, but you don't typically need it if you are looking for a corporate fashion job or career in corporate fashion. They typically aren't looking for a master's degree. They pretty much go to bachelor's. Even at this point, companies are looking for bachelor's and work experience. If you want to get a master's personally or doctorate, more than welcome. Obviously, do you? Me, I would love a master's degree. I probably wouldn't get it in fashion. I would probably get it in business or marketing, something like that. However, if you plan on, for example, teaching at a college level, then you'll need your master's degree, potentially doctorate, depending on the type of college or university you want to teach at. So just consider your goals. Once again, consider your goals, consider what you actually want to do. If you just want to be an independent brand, then you don't need to try to get a master's degree. If you are just trying to be an independent brand and sell your clothing company. So I will conclude this with, the question that you probably want to ask yourself is it worth your time? I think, yes, knowing the lingo, the construction techniques, the type of sewing machines that are out there, what these sewing machines do, all that kind of thing, it is really good to know, and it will make it easier for you to build your brand. You can still, like I said, definitely research on your own with Google, buying books. I have a ton of, fashion, but I kept all of my fashion textbooks. I didn't sell any of those books back, but it's definitely possible to study on your own, but it's good to at least have that one-on-one with someone to help you learn that. If you're not trying to work in corporate fashion, you don't really have to go to an art school or a high-end, the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, FIDM, or FIT, the Fashion Institute of Technology, I think it's called. You don't have to go to any of those schools, Art Institute, those things. You can just go, you can even do a trade school, like LA Trade Tech. It's a 2-year degree, but it's just a trade school. So it's not so much about the art part of design. It's more about just the straight construction, bare bones. This is training you so you can get a job right after. I have friends that went to trade tech and they didn't plan on working in the industry at all. They just wanted to hone their skills because they were self-taught. So they did go there just so they can learn the pattern making, the techniques, the sewing techniques, have a better understanding of it, and also network with other people, because a lot of teachers and professors at colleges do have pretty good connections in the industry, so they can help you there. If you don't want to do that, I still definitely recommend taking a few classes, maybe at the community college level. There's schools in LA like Pasadena City College. I think it's called Mount St. Mary's or something. And Long Beach Community College, Santa Monica Community College. Those ones offer a sewing program, certificate program. So you can take some classes there, maybe just, an intro to fashion, maybe a sewing class, a sketching class, and so that you can at least learn some bare bones minimum and go from there. If you don't want to do any of those things and you really just want to be self-taught, then I definitely recommend that you take at least a sewing class at a local adult education or Joann's or something, just so that you can at least know construction and understand how to read a pattern and understand notches and what those means and things like that. A lot of things are on the internet nowadays. There's a lot of YouTube tutorials about how to sew and how to make things. So you can go that route, but you're going to definitely need to be diligent in everything that you do and understand that you're going to have to be real diligent. You can't go through it and kind of just, I'll do it whenever and I'll do whatever, whenever. No, if you don't have someone pushing you, if you're not that type, you actually need someone to push you, then definitely just invest in the school. There is grants and scholarships available. There's loans available, but the education is really good. And do your research, obviously about any school that you go to. I mentioned the ones that are in LA because that's where I am and that's where I did my research. But if there are other schools, there's other schools outside the country and other things like that. So you just have to do your research and figure out what is best for you and your situation. I hope you take all this info and apply it to make your decision. whether you need to go to school or not. I hope you find it extremely helpful. I hope you find that you find the right decision for yourself. Don't let anyone force you into doing something or paying for something that you actually are like, I don't need all of that. Because maybe you plan on just really hiring your team and you don't plan on creating things by yourself. You plan on hiring a team to know to do everything. That is great and wonderful. But once again, you really need to make sure you understand the fundamentals, the basics. Otherwise, you won't be able to translate that to someone else. Your items created and made. And otherwise people will do whatever they want and you will be really upset at the end of the day after the fact. Definitely consider all your options. I think that's really the best thing that you can do is consider everything, write down your own pros and cons, kind of go from there. So thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Is Fashion School Worth It? Share this with somebody that is, planning to go to fashion school or is considering it. Let them know it's here. Maybe they can get some information from this, or it'll better help their decision. Feel free to follow me on all the social media where you can, and like and subscribe and support my channel the best that you can. Everything helps all the algorithms, so be sure to do that. But until next time, stay cute and stay unique. Bye.